favourite big-name restaurants and local takeaways. How about free chili cheese bites when you order from Burger King? Or if all you want for Christmas is cookies, then get them free when you order from Subway. Find delicious freebies on the Deliveroo app now and get them delivered straight to your door. Deliveroo, here to deliver. Download the app and order now. Offer ends 16/12, subject to availability. Selected stores only. Geographical restrictions, service and delivery charges apply.
Tiger Radio. Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Good morning and welcome to Talking Points on Leica Radio 1458 with me, Keith Faz. Thank you for joining me today, Sunday the 6th of December 2020. Sundays have become my favourite day, especially because I get to listen to Sonia's Bollywood hits. Thanks for another great show, Sonia. On this day in 1897, 123 years ago, London became the first city in the world to host licensed taxicabs. The humble birth of the iconic London black cab. So if there are any cabbies out there listening to Leica Radio 1458, happy birthday. Happy birthday tomorrow to my big sister Valerie, to Pradeep Demecha, the founder of Demecha Cash and Carry, and to Anka Arimia. Our songs of the week this week have been chosen by Sejal Thanki. She's a mum of two amazing kids, Josh and Ariana, and married to Piyush for 16 years. She's a software developer and also owns a catering business, Fusion Blend Catering. She loves cooking and inventing new fusion dishes. They're also launching fusion sauces in the market very soon. Yum, yum. Joining me from Bristol is Sejal Thanki. Good morning, Sejal.
Good morning, Keith.
Now, why have they been chosen by you? Which are the songs and who are they dedicated to? First of all, song number one.
It's Yadein from movie Yadein. This song is mine and my mom's favorite song. Her name is Jyoti. I am very close to my family and it kind of reminds me of the time when I was getting married.
Were you sad when you had to leave the family or happy that you were joining Piyush?
Happy and sad.
What about song number two? What song is that and who are you dedicating that to?
Song number two is Nach Meri Rani. It's a new song. I really like the song. I really like the beat. And I would like to dedicate that to my husband, Piyush.
And it's 16 years of marriage. Do you remember your wedding day? Did you get married in Bristol or was it somewhere else?
It was in Leicester. It was at Vanza Community.
Ah, the Vanza Community Hall. Wonderful. Well, thank you for your choices. We will listen to them with great excitement. And have a great Sunday, Sejal.
You too. Take care.
This week, my guests include the first Muslim and Bengali live peer, Baroness Paula Yudin. We have a Talking Points first, as we'll be travelling around the world to Hong Kong to interview restaurateur Raymond Wong about the COVID-19 experience of China and ask him how his famous Chinese restaurant in Bristol has coped during the pandemic. And after the 11 o'clock news, we'll be discussing this week's hot topic, the COVID-19 vaccine. Stay tuned, as we'll be speaking to doctors, GPs, pharmacists, and to hospitals that are about to deliver the vaccine, to ask them the questions that have been on the tip of your tongue. I want to hear from you. If you have something to say about the vaccine, please call on 0203 515 1458, but after 11:30 a.m. That's 0203 515 1458 after 11:30 a.m.
Tiger Radio.
My very special guest today is the first and only Muslim Bengali woman to be appointed as a life peer to the House of Lords. She joined the upper house of the British Parliament in 1998 because of her contributions to the advancement of women and disability rights and her long-term campaigns for the increase of skills for Asian women in Britain. She created the first purpose-built education and training centre for Asian women in the United Kingdom, the Jagannarii Centre. She's an ardent advocate of women's involvement in politics, particularly those women from ethnic minority backgrounds. She's a patron of organisations such as the Student Partnership Worldwide, British Bangla, Women's Aid, Women's Housing Forum, and the Dame Vera Lynn Trust. She was nominated as a Muslim Woman of the Year by the British Muslim Awards. She's paved the way for those women that are now following in her footsteps, and in politics and indeed in community work. She has truly broken the glass ceiling. Joining me from Wapping in East London is Baroness Manzila Paula Yudin. Good morning, Baroness Yudin.
Good morning, Right Honourable Keith Vaz. How are you?
I'm very well. Your Bangladeshi heritage is so important to you. But do you remember much about your early life in Bangladesh before you came to live in East London at the age of 13?
I remember everything to details. I think that wars and conflict makes one grow up very, very easily and very quickly. And so I do. And everything that I've done, all my activism, and the very reason I ended up joining the Labour Party and working against the fascists in Brick Lane, and all of that activism really was driven by my sort of sense of purpose and rights of self-determination. I feel that even Tower Hamlet allow and facilitate us the rights of determination for the community. So yes, I think it has been ever present. And I think that in all my subsequent work, I've always tried to honor the person that I grew up in, both Bangladesh and of course here in Britain.
But you came to live in the East End. You basically dedicated your life to that part of London. You haven't really moved away from your roots and your heritage. It's regarded a bit like being a little Bangladesh, isn't it, Tower Hamlets? Though in parts, I suppose, there are more Bangladeshis in some parts of Tower Hamlets than there are even in Bangladesh, because it's become so synonymous with the success of a country. But you chose to go into social work, completing a degree at the University of London. What attracted you to that particular type of work?
So I think what I want to say, first of all, is that no matter where I have moved to, where I've lived, and I've lived elsewhere part of my life, and I think Tower Hamlet has always played a very central role because it was synonymous with sort of trying to establish communities. And you will remember, I'm sure, the ghetto that Tower Hamlet was in every sense. And I think the place that it has become was essentially because of people of my generation, and we worked together as a collective, all sorts of different people that, included Bangladeshi community, Bangladeshi men and women leaders. I think I was the only woman on many platforms, but, nonetheless. So we worked as a collective. And so the community of Tower Hamlet has been a very central role to everything that I've done, no matter where I've done it. And what I want to say is that I suppose in some sense, the place and your family, they define you. And social work, I think, was a very natural extension. I mean, I went back to study. First of all, I want to say that I got married very early. That's how I went and moved into Tower Hamlet. Very stupidly got married at the age of 16, completely contrary to the well-being of myself and as well as my parents and their feelings. And then, so of course, I always wanted to study. My family is full of teachers and professors and all that. So abandoning education at that age has always scarred my life. So I sort of, struggled within myself to always trying to find the opportunity to return back to social work. So that's what I did at the age of, I can't even remember now, very early on in 1988, 1990, I think. I went back with 3 children in my arms, very, very young, and to complete my professional qualification. So, yeah, that's what attracted me, because I was so driven with community work. And it seemed that if I could contribute from an institution which would give some credibility to that work and also change the system that essentially were hurdles for many communities, particularly from different backgrounds. I think that it allowed me the opportunity to influence and impact work both in the community as well as at an institutional level.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to the Baroness Pola Yudin, the first Bengali Muslim woman to sit in the British Parliament in the House of Lords. We're going to come back after the break and talk to her about a career in politics. What was the leap that took her from social work to politics? Join us after the break.
Nagme hai, shikve hai, kisse hai, baatein hai. नगमे हैं, शिकवे हैं, किस्से हैं, बातें हैं, बातें भूल जाती है, यादें याद आती है, बातें भूल जाती है, याद आती है ये यादें किसी दिलो जानम के चले जाने के बाद आती है यादें ये जीवन दिल जानी दरिया का है पानी तो बह जाए बाकी क्या रह जाए.
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to the iconic Bangladeshi British peer, Paula Yudin. We have come to the part of your life, Paula Yudin, where you got elected to Tower Hamlets Council. You were married, 4 children, a social work career. You decided to run for the council. What made you make that leap?
Very incidental. I always have regarded myself as an activist, and really institutions, other than the European institutions as it goes, I mean, I had always dreamed that I would become an MEP because I was the chair of the local, regional MEP, supported them for a long time. So I never really envisaged coming into so-called politics, and I've resisted calling myself a politician. But I think in essence, Labour Party at that time was searching high and low for women, and there wasn't enough. So I think 2 of us were nominated purely by fluke and with no ambition to become a councillor. But that's exactly what happened.
And did you enjoy that council work? Because to some extent, being a social worker is brilliant training for being a local councillor with that huge caseload that must have come your way in Tower Hamlets. And indeed, sitting in the House of Lords, though you don't have a parliamentary constituency that is geographically based, your constituency actually is huge. But were you glad you did that as a career before you went into politics? Because it helped you to take up people's cases. That's bread and butter of the stuff you do, isn't it?
But I think that all my life I have done cases, individuals and families, so it never stopped. And I think I was on this big, massive roller coaster. I never had time to stop and reflect, having responsibility of being a breadwinner, having responsibility of children, having professional commitment, and then council. It just simply meant that I worked 24 hours a day. And I can tell you, after I came into the Lords, when my husband just said, no, your door's now closed. You cannot see everybody and anybody at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning. So I think that I want to say that this is the first time I've ever spoken like this in public, but I've really sacrificed my family life for public services. And so it was very difficult. But I never shifted from any commitment that I have undertaken. And I always used to say to my children, I know that you might not consider this important, but if you went to Tower Hamlet anywhere, and it didn't matter that I was a councillor for Shadwell, somebody would tell you that, you were a child of Paula Yudin, and they would feed you with love and affection because I had always honored anyone that came to my door. And the only other thing I want to say is that in that period, getting selected through the Labour Party system was the most arduous, and it was exhaustive. And without, at that time, my support I got from my family, my husband in particular, he was just bloody minded about it because he said, do not let these members who were your friends and brothers while you're on the street fighting racism and everything else for the community. They didn't want me. They made everything hard to get through and selected. But, there I did. I got selected and I ousted someone who'd been a councillor for 32 years. And it was like, incredible experience. And I hope that I honored my commitment those 8 years that I was a councillor.
And then the call came through from Downing Street under the premiership of Tony Blair. They wanted you in the House of Lords. Big choice to be made, because beyond doubt, had you stayed out of the Lords, you would have got a parliamentary seat. We now have 3 British Bangladeshi women in the House of Commons. You would have ended up there just because you were a survivor, but you decided to go to the Lords. What made you do that?
So I think the premise is always when there is a strong candidate in constituency, they try and pacify that other person who's lost, if you like, who missed the opportunity. And I think I'm big enough and ugly enough to absolutely say that it was very tokenistic at that point to say, look, how can we get rid of Paula Uddin from the space so that it doesn't become difficult for really my very good friend, who she was, Una King, who became the MP. I would have never done what many men maybe that they thought would have done, which is challenge the person who's sitting. I would have still honored that person and member of parliament. But I think it was a decision based on, could we have a Bengali woman? Could we have, could we get rid of someone who might be difficult later or whatever? But whatever the reason was, it was a difficult professional decision because, of course, at that time I had to give up a very successful career. I was almost acting as a, assistant director of social services, some of the times in many instances. And I was working very closely with the director and assistant director. And so I gave up a very successful career to become a member of the House of Lords, which was very difficult. But anyway, it was a choice, a decision, and it was made.
In the next part, I'm going to explore your career in the House of Lords, but I wanted to just ask you about what I think probably is something that you would like to be remembered by. Not that we're in the legacy stakes at the moment. I'm older than you, so my bucket list is getting longer and longer as the years get shorter and shorter. But in 1999, you set up the first Asian Women's Centre for Training and Education. Are you proud of that and the fact that it's achieved so much in empowering women? Your career seems to be about not just breaking glass ceilings, which you've done very successfully. You're the first at many things, but you're also wanting other people to climb up the ladder with you. Is that why you set up that centre?
So it was completed, I think, in 1988. It started out in the early 80s. So there was three of us really built that centre. And in essence, it was to reach out to communities and economically empower women. It's not just about supporting women when they're in domestic violence or they're not educated enough, they need training. Fundamental ethos really was contrary to the mainstream assessment of particularly minority women, that they're always a problem to be solved. It was never about really reaching out to empower women on the same level as that any one of us had the opportunity been given. So the centre was something very community focused, and it came from the grassroots and involved all sorts of different women. So yes, I think it has always been rooted in my work, however little I've done. And I can't say, if you ask me what my legacy was, I wouldn't be able to say anything. I would want my children to be my legacy. But so the centre itself and anything else that I've done has always been about reaching out, always. And anything I do, and all the work that, you and I have reached out in the Commons and the Lords when we've done work together, it's always about, as you have, reaching out and making sure others become comfortable on the platform that we've managed to achieve.
This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 talking to the British Bengali peer, Paula Uddin. We'll be back after the break.
Leica Radio.
Punjab National Bank International Limited launches mobile app for personal customers. Whether you want to send money to India or view your latest balance, do that on the go. Simply download our app for free from your mobile app store. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, please visit
www.pnbint.com. Deposit protection from FSCS. Authorized by the PRA and regulated by FCA and PRA.
जो बनते हैं जरिया आपकी खुशियों का, बैंक अल-फलाह रेमिटेंस बनता है जरिया उनका। इन्हीं खुशियों को तुम्हारे प्यारों तक पहुंचाता है बैंक अल-फलाह रेमिटेंस, हिफाजत से, कानूनी तरीके से। कैश ओवर काउंटर के जरिए पाकिस्तान में बैंक अल-फलाह की 700 से ज्यादा में से किसी भी ब्रांच में या आसान रेमिटेंस और अल्फा रेमिटेंस अकाउंट के साथ सीधा बैंक अकाउंट में, जो निकले हैं कामयाबी की राह पर और हैं अपने प्यारों से दूर। बैंक अल-फलाह करता है उन्हें सलाम।
बैंक अल-फलाह, the way forward. You get up to 60% off with Leica Mobile. No contract and up to 60% off on our best plans lasting for up to 6 months. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to order your SIM. Hurry up! Limited time offer. Leica Mobile. We love data.
If you have a chronic lung condition like COPD, bronchitis, emphysema or asthma, it's important to protect yourself from the flu virus. Flu is a virus that can cause serious complications for you. That's why we offer you the flu jab for free. It's your very best protection. Ask your pharmacist or GP today. NHS. We're here to help you protect against flu. Help us help you.
At Forum Insurance, we know this year has been challenging. That's why this December, we're waiving off broker fees on new personal insurance policies, including car, household, health and term insurance. Contact us at www.foruminsurance.com. Terms and conditions apply.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Extended Black Friday sale is now on at Cave Furniture. 70% off, saving you pounds on living, dining, beds and bedroom furniture. Immediate delivery, 0% interest-free credit. TNC apply. cavefurniture.co.uk, Cricklewood, Kenton and Hitchend.
During the pandemic, people started listening to radio for more information and entertainment. Radio is a comfort medium that people listen to everywhere, through radio, online, mobile app and smart home devices like Alexa. If you are running a business and want to reach out to the masses throughout the day, then radio is the best cost-effective reminder. Call Leica Media Experienced Sales Team today to discuss your advertising needs on 0207 132 1458. That's 0207 132 1458.
Leica Radio. Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458, talking to a glass ceiling breaker, the iconic British Bangladeshi peer Pola Eugene. Pola, you arrive in the House of Lords. You wear your sari and your salwar kameez. You see a lot of white faces from the time that you were appointed. It's got a lot better since you took your seat in the House of Lords. How did it feel when you got there, and how different is it now after 20 years?
So I think there's been a fundamental shift in accommodating a range of different communities within the House of Lords and the House of Parliament as a whole, I think. I remember I had huge amount of difficulties trying to keep up with technology and some sense of sort of work as a modern working woman. And so I remember the horror that I caused when I used to take this very fat mobile that all had in those days. And I often got sort of reprimanded, and I carried on. It took us, I think, nearly 10 years before mobiles would be allowed, but I was one of the very first to challenge the House. And as is, I was one of the first to go and ask for a computer on my desk because I wanted to function in the best way that I could, because I used to run this constituency office.
But one of the issues, of course, which people don't really understand, especially if you're the first. I mean, there have been others since, in the Commons in particular, and as MEPs, etc. But when you're the first, people don't really understand the global impact that has, do they? And that people know you all over the world because of the position that you hold. Do you find that disconcerting? And in terms of your family, do they find it disconcerting if they perhaps go to Bangladesh and hope they're going to have a quiet holiday meeting their relatives, and then it turns into a surgery?
Well, you well know, because that's exactly what's happened to you when you've gone to India. Yeah, I mean, my children have never known peace until, I think, over the last few years when they've grown up and they've made their own lives. But certainly, I mean, I was very blessed in that sense, because whatever Tony Blair did, he actually actually sent me around the world, to try and make relationship with different communities, different countries, different women's group, internationally or elsewhere. And I was very fortunate in that sense. So, yeah, and it has the disadvantage of really is out of children's privacy, family privacy is out of the window. And I've always tried to be a very private person in that sense. So, and none of my children have any values for sort of going into politics. And we were talking about earlier that our children's generation don't think that their participation is necessary to make the changes that we really were forced to take part in.
And do you feel of all the bits and pieces that you do in this jigsaw of the life of an elected and an appointed politician in Britain in 2020, of all the bits that you do, which do you enjoy the most in the Lords? Is it the chamber work? Is it asking questions? Is it the debates? You've served on many committees, including the European Affairs Committee. Which of those bits do you like the most? Do you enjoy? You when you go through those hallowed gates, you say, "Oh, I like quite doing this bit." Which bit is it?
I think trying to make a minister accountable, and they can ignore you at your peril or theirs, but the thing is you made the points when you can. And last few months has been one of the most difficult challenges, that everything that you do is restricted, including the level of sort of inquiry you can make, on behalf of the people that you profess to represent or you speak on behalf of, and I always try and speak on behalf of the people from where I come, the people in the communities, but women generally and people with disabilities, because as you know, I have a son who's 41-year-old who live with autism. So these are the kind of issues that really make me drive and get up every morning and come to work. I don't know that which I enjoy. I think trying to make a difference legislatively as one single member of parliament, either in the House of Lords or in the Commons, is almost impossible. And anybody who claims that they've changed the system are lying, really. So given that, I just try my best to raise the question when I'm given the opportunities. And and all those principles I have always held dear, including one point I want to say is that I have persisted in speaking up about, women who were raped in Bangladesh during the war, Pakistan. And even there, women don't get justice because rape has been used as a weapon of war consistently over the last 40, 50 years. So even in the House of Lords, when I get a chance, I try and remain true to myself and true to the values that I've always upheld.
After I've spoken to Baroness Paula Yudin, we'll be travelling to Hong Kong to talk to Raymond Wong about the Chinese government's very strict rules on COVID-19. And after the 11 o'clock news, we'll be talking about the vaccine. We'll be going to Birmingham to talk to Professor Wasim Hanif. That's one of the hospitals that's going to deliver the vaccine to the people of Birmingham. Then to Leicester to talk to Asif Karim, a pharmacist. And from there to Hertfordshire to talk to another pharmacist, Varsha Mistry, and finally back to London to St John's Wood to chat to Dr. Bharat Sangani. If you have a view on the vaccine, please call in after 11:30 a.m. on 0203 515 1458. Join me after the break.
सब कुछ तुझ पे हार गई मैं खुद ही खुद की नहीं रही मैं सजना पर तू मुझ पे नजर करे ना थोड़ी सी भी फिक्र करे ना मन्नत कर करके थक गई मैं सजना
लाखों का दिल तेरा ये तेरा थंडर सा ठुमका अब नखरा ना कर तू बिजली बन के बे तू फ्लोर पे आ गिरे मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी पड़ गया हूँ मुश्किल में दिल मेरा तड़पावे छोड़ के दुनिया सारी पीछे तेरे आवे दिल धड़काना भूल ही जाते नींद वींद अब मुझे न आते हो रहा क्या समझ न पाते हो सजनी सो तू क्या इतना पास मेरे आजा दुनिया से डरना ना बारिश बन के बे तू फ्लोर पे आ गिर मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी क्या कर डाला रात दिन बस तेरा ही जब रही हूँ माला प्यार मोहब्बत इश्क की बातें कुछ न समझो अब मुझे हराते बिन तेरे अब जी नहीं पाते हो सजना तुझ पे मरता तेरे मूव्स से मैं डरता अब इतना ना तरसा तूफान बन के बे तू फ्लोर पे आ गिर मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी मेरी रानी नाच नाच मेरी रानी रानी
Like a Radio.
NHS cares about you and your mental health during the pandemic. NHS Talking Therapies is one such thing that can help all of us. For our Punjabi listeners, we talked to Dr. Simi Sachdeva Mohan, who is a consultant psychiatrist and a fellow of the Royal College of Psychiatrists.
मौजूदा कोविड-19 महामारी बारे तनाव, चिंता या उदासी महसूस करना आम गल है। पैंडेमिक ਦੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਮਾਨਸਿਕ ਸਿਹਤ ਤੇ ਆਮ ਮਸਲਿਆਂ ਲਈ NHS ਟਾਕਿੰਗ ਥੈਰੇਪੀਜ਼ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਸ਼ਾਲੀ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ, ਇਫੈਕਟਿਵ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਸੋ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਿਮੀ, ਇਹ NHS ਟਾਕਿੰਗ ਥੈਰੇਪੀਜ਼ ਕੀ ਹਨ?
ਟਾਕਿੰਗ ਥੈਰੇਪੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚਿਕਿਤਸਕ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਵਾਲੀ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਮਿਲਣੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਦਿਮਾਗੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਪੇਸ਼ੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੈਨੇਜ ਕਰੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਣ।
ਇਸ ਪੈਂਡੈਮਿਕ ਦੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ NHS ਟਾਕਿੰਗ ਥੈਰੇਪੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਹੈ?
ਤੇ ਇਹ ਮਹਾਮਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਦੇ ਪੇਸ਼ੈਂਟ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਬੀਅਤ ਹੋਰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਖਰਾਬ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਤੇ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋਏ ਜਾਂ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਚਲੀ ਗਈ ਹੋਏ ਜਾਂ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋਏ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਨਵੇਂ ਸਿੰਪਟਮ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਟਾਕਿੰਗ ਥੈਰੇਪੀਜ਼ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣ।
Tune in to the breakfast show between 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Leica Radio 1458 and Anisa Nasir show between 7 to 8 p.m. on Dil Se Radio on Monday to understand NHS talking therapies in Punjab.
Leica Radio. Leica Radio. Travel update.
I'm Michael Page. Just a reminder to start, if you're planning on using the M4 today, it is still closed between junction 10 for Wokingham and Bracknell and junction 12 for Thiel for Highways England Works. And on the M25 anti-clockwise at junction 12 for the M3, roadworks means the exit slip to the M3 southbound is closed until tomorrow morning. On the A13 heading out of London at Rainham, the earlier broken down vehicle has been recovered, so lane 1 has reopened between Rainham and the Wellington interchange. In Forest Gate, Romford Road is still blocked westbound coming from Catherine Road to the police station because of an accident. And in Ewell, Banstead Road is part blocked both ways between Cheam Road and the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses because of an accident. The Woolwich Ferry isn't running today because of a staff shortage, and South Eastern are reporting delays of up to 10 minutes via Slade Green because of earlier signalling problems. South Western Railway have engineering work today closing all the lines via Wimbledon. There are many replacement buses running from Clapham Junction, so it's best to check before setting out to see how your journey is affected. Overground services aren't running between Surrey Quays and Clapham Junction today, and the Northern Line isn't running between Charing Cross and Kennington because of engineering work. And that's the latest traffic and travel.
Leica Radio.
2020. It's certainly not been an easy year, but as it draws to a close, let's try to make this Christmas the best it can be. You can start by shutting cyber criminals out. Before you head online to do your gift shopping, visit cyberaware.gov.uk for some practical steps to help protect you from cybercrime. From creating stronger passwords to updating your devices. And enjoy a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Get secure online at cyberaware.gov.uk.
This is Leica Radio.
A designer outfit for your special occasion. Visit monavora.com. Black Friday week special. Buy one, get one half price with free delivery. Also, heavily discounted range of bridal and groomswear. T&C apply. Log on to monavora.com.
Visit travelhubltd.co.uk and get unbeatable deal on any hotel anywhere in the world. Yes, any hotel anywhere in the world.
Lockdown में भी अपनों से मिलाए. Fly India with Air India. Call Travel Hub 24/7 on 0208 782 8833 or visit travelhubltd.co.uk for online registration and formalities. Travel Hub will take care of everything.
Travel Hub, best service with unbeatable price.
At all protected.
T&Cs apply.
You get up to 60% off with Leica Mobile. No contract and up to 60% off on our best plans lasting for up to 6 months. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to order your SIM. Hurry up! Limited time offer. Leica Mobile. We love data.
COVID-19 remains highly contagious, and even people without symptoms can spread it. So we need to keep washing our hands when we get home. Keep wearing our face coverings on the train. Keep making space at the shops. And now we're indoors more, we should let fresh air in to help blow COVID-19 particles away. Let's keep doing all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space, and let fresh air in.
Attention to all meat lovers of Crawley in Sussex. Famous Tariq Halal is now open at 33 Queensway in Crawley. Big opening offers in the new Crawley store. Tariq Halal, there is only one.
Extended Black Friday sale is now on at Cave Furniture. 70% off, saving you pounds on living, dining, beds and bedroom furniture. Immediate delivery, 0% interest-free credit. T&C apply. cavefurniture.co.uk, Cricklewood, Kenton and Hitchend.
Whether it's getting back into work, thinking about a different job, or helping you improve your CV, we can help you make a new start. Visit gov.uk/jobhelp. A good place to start.
During the pandemic, people started listening to radio for more information and entertainment. Radio is a comfort medium that people listen to everywhere through radio, online, mobile app and smart home devices like Alexa. If you are running a business and want to reach out to the masses throughout the day, then radio is the best cost-effective reminder. Call Leica Media Experienced Sales Team today to discuss your advertising needs on 0207 132 1458. That's 0207 132 1458.
Yo, it's about Origin here. You can catch me live on Leica Radio this Sunday, 6th December from 8 p.m. with Alexander Riot, talking about my latest single, Made in Al Nachna, and much more. Tune in.
This is
Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith Faz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Faz talking to the British Bangladeshi peer, Baroness Paula Yudin, about her extraordinary life, about her breaking the glass ceiling and becoming an iconic figure to young people as they enter politics. Paula Yudin, your family life, as the family life of all those in public life, Prime Minister, whoever, suffers and has suffered because of your choice of career, politics. Do you think, though, as they get older, they understand more about why you've done this, why you've entered this career? Because as kids, of course, they won't understand. But as they get older, they can read newspapers and do all kinds of things. And has it been a big struggle, or have you managed to convince them that it's been worthwhile?
So I never thought that they had understood, because they had only understood the fact that I wasn't at home long enough. And I think their lives have been really scarred by sort of my presence outside serving the communities. But I think I saw them when I was struggling, when I was in difficulties, that they were amazing adults. I'm deeply proud of them. And I think they really valued the work that I did, and they made sure that I knew about that. I want to just say that my mom, my sister have been my backbone. My mom is an incredible woman who came to this country with 5 children and managed single-handedly to bring us up. And I think that, I can never sort of thank her enough. But we come from a very long line of women who are first, including her sister and my sort of paternal, aunts. And they did many firsts in Bangladesh. So I'm very, very proud of that. And I don't know what the final impact will be, but definitely I owe them a great debt of gratitude.
Do you think that ethnic minority people in public life, politicians and others, get a worse deal because they happen to be ethnic minorities, or do you think that this is a overworked theory?
My God, I think that you and I will know how blatant Islamophobia and racism is in the highest place, in the land, which is Parliament, and it's absolutely integrated, I think, within the party political system. And definitely each of us have faced enormous lynching, public lynching. And I think it's because we have stood up to the ground and we've stood up for our beliefs. And so I think definitely many black and minority women and men get a really terrible deal, and same standard is not applicable, even in the worst case scenario, to somebody who's white, somebody who's men, and even white women, colleagues. I've seen that, and I'm very open about, my contention about this.
But if you go and speak to a sixth form next Friday, and they say, Baroness Yudin, should we go into politics? You'll say yes, won't you? Why would you continue to encourage people to go through it?
My God, and I do, because how else are we going to change next generation? Because the next generation of children, they don't see, the disparities in the same way that we have experienced it. They are very hopeful for the future, and they almost sometimes, I don't like to use the word colorblind, but they're almost colorblind because they're living next door to each other. They have similar lives and they're struggling similarly, no matter what their race and background is. And I think that that's a set of hope that we cannot ignore. And so, and I speak to a lot of sixth formers and younger children when they come to school, and I say, you can be the future, even if it is not your children and my children, but others who are still hankering after making a difference to the world. I want to say, come in and change that world.
Can I ask you finally a question about COVID, because you are very much in the beating heart of the community. The vaccine has been discovered. We're going to explore this in the second part of the programme this morning. We're going to talk to some doctors and pharmacists. Would you take the vaccination? Are you happy with everything that goes around this, or do you think there are concerns in the community about this?
I've been asking hundreds of questions about the disparities and the discriminatory practices that are experienced at the hands of health service and local authorities and all of that within the communities. Bangladeshi community generally, overall in different parts of the countries, has suffered disproportionately, both in numbers of deaths and infections. But there are lots of concerns because vaccine can't be the one rule that's going to save the entire population of any communities. It has to be backed up by financial resources, health services, and mental well-being, housing, and all that. It requires a wholesome approach to ensure that communities live COVID-free, and it's something that we're going to be dealing with for a long time. There are skepticism about the issue of safety and the fact that vaccine usually takes tens of years to become credible to use. So we've got to ensure that we talk about these issues and we don't marginalize those that are questioning the safety. We've got to bring in the communities to have a discussion. And the government messaging has been so absolutely outrageous and ineffective. They haven't given sufficient attention to all those communities that have been suffering disproportionately. Now, if you say, well, you've been suffering disproportionately, let's have the vaccine, they'll say, what happened to the rest? Why are we now more important? So I think that those are the questions that government has to address.
Baroness Manzila Pola Yudin, it has been a pleasure and an honour talking to you on Talking Points today. We always ask all our very special guests to choose a song so that they can share it with us, something that really matters to you, is special to you. What would be your song and why have you chosen it?
So I want to tell you, I'm going to be a bit cheeky. Amar Shonar Bangla, which means that, my Bangla, which is ever present in my life. So that would be my first Bangla song. And the second one I would choose is Barbara Streisand's Evergreen. She has always been one of my favorite singers. And it just says that my heart belongs to both Bangladesh and now here, because this is my home and this is where my children are. So that's what it signifies.
This is why you're so ambitious. You're asked for one song and you always want to get two.
I can give you 1,000. I'm a bathroom singer. What can I tell you?
Well, we won't hear it yet on Like a Radio, but when you cut your first record, please let us know. We'd like to play it on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Carry on with your incredible work and good luck with all your campaigns.
Thank you very much, Keith. I really appreciated this opportunity to speak to you and the listeners at Like a Radio. It has been one of my favorite stations. So thank you.
Radio.
A designer outfit for your special occasion. Visit monavora.com. Black Friday week special. Buy one, get one half price with free delivery. Also, heavily discounted range of bridal and groomswear. T&C apply. Log on to monavora.com.
Your most loved Haldiram Gulab Jamun, Rasgulla, Rasmalai in 1 kg tin, Motichur Laddu, milk cake, peda or Kaju Katli. All are now available on amazon.co.uk. Aao manaye khushiyan with Haldiram sweets.
You get up to 60% off with Leica Mobile. No contract and up to 60% off on our best plans lasting for up to 6 months. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to order your SIM. Hurry up! Limited time offer. Leica Mobile. We love data.
COVID-19 remains highly contagious and even people without symptoms can spread it. So we need to keep washing our hands when we get to work. Keep wearing our face coverings in shops. Keep making space when we're out and about.
Morning.
And now we're indoors more, we should let fresh air in to help blow COVID-19 particles away. Let's keep doing all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space, and let fresh air in.
Forum Insurance. We know not having the correct insurance cover can result in an unsuccessful claim. With 30 years' experience, we can offer tailor-made insurance policies. To see the full range of how we can help you, visit our website, foruminsurance.com.
Extended Black Friday sale is now on at K Furniture. 70% off, saving you pounds on living, dining, beds and bedroom furniture. Immediate delivery, 0% interest-free credit. TNC apply. kfurniture.co.uk, Cricklewood, Kenton and Hitchend.
Waiting to become a mum. It's a funny time. New things to think about, new feelings, and sometimes new worries. If at any point something just doesn't feel right, we've got a simple message. Just speak to your midwife. They're ready to see you safely. And if you've got a checkup booked in, rest assured we've taken all the necessary steps to look after you and your baby. Just be sure to see us, your NHS maternity team. Help us help you.
This is Leica Radio.
The first case of COVID was reported on the 17th of November 2019 in the Hubei province in China. Since then, China has had 86,551 cases and only 4,634 deaths. Compared to us in the United Kingdom, we've had 1.64 million cases and 59,051 deaths so far. Raymond Wong was born in Hong Kong in 1949 and came to the United Kingdom in 1965. He lives in Bristol. He is a key member, I would say the leading member of the Chinese community in Bristol, and is the owner of one of the most famous restaurants in Bristol, the Café Rendezvous. He joins me this morning from Hong Kong in China. Good morning, Raymond.
Good morning, Keith.
Now, what brings you to Hong Kong at this particular time when most people actually are at home? Why are you there? And what is the situation like in Hong Kong?
The reason why I come here, because I have a daughter who lives in Hong Kong, and we have 3 grandchildren living in Hong Kong, and they were born in Hong Kong. And I have been waiting to come to Hong Kong since March this year. Just been waiting for a good situation to come to Hong Kong. But I've been waiting since March. I have cancelled my flights twice. So I can't wait any longer. So I said to my wife,
yes,
we got to go. We got to go in November, because the important thing is we want to spend Christmas with our grandchildren in Hong Kong.
What's the situation like at the moment in Hong Kong? If you look out from your hotel window, what do you see? Are there people walking around, or is it very quiet?
No, there are people walking around, but everyone is wearing a mask because it's compulsory now. If you don't wear a mask, you get fined. So there are still people walking around, but it's not a lot than a few weeks ago.
Now, the quarantine arrangements in China are very different to what they are in the United Kingdom. From the time that you arrived in Hong Kong, I understand that you are wearing a tag. What are the quarantine arrangements like for people who arrive in China?
Right, the requirement for entering Hong Kong, we have to get a test at Heathrow Airport. The test have to be negative before British Airways allow you to board the plane. And this is also the requirement for the Hong Kong government. And also, British Airways will ask you 2 important things. First is the test result got to be negative. And second, a proof of reserved hotel for 14 days before they allow you to check in.
And do you find it like, basically, you mentioned to me earlier that this was like being in a prison, but it's a luxury prison, presumably, where you can walk around the hotel, but you can't walk around Hong Kong?
Well, I'm quite lucky because my daughter had booked me into an apartment within a hotel. So there is a kitchen, there's a lounge and bathroom, bedroom, so it's quite a luxury situation for me. So I can walk around the apartment, but
Indeed.
I can't get out of the hotel. Not allowed to.
Yes. These sound like draconian measures, which obviously we don't have in the UK. Do you think, first of all, this is only possible in a place like China, which has a different system of governance than the United Kingdom, clearly? And secondly, it doesn't seem that the people are complaining about this. But, you know, in the United Kingdom, people are really concerned about lockdowns and tier systems. So if we said to everyone, you have to sit in a hotel for 14 days, they would not be very happy. Do you think that's why the figures are so low?
Yes, that is the main reason. And I think because Hong Kong had this problem with the virus before called the SARS, I can't remember, some 20 years ago. So they had the experience of this pandemic happen in Hong Kong. So this is the COVID-19. This is the second time It happened in Hong Kong. So the people take it more serious than the West.
Now, I wanted to cast your mind back to the start of this pandemic when you were running the Cafe Rendezvous in Bristol. Did you feel, because it started in China, that there was any ill feeling towards the Chinese community, or in particular Chinese restaurants? Then, not now, but then when it started, did you have any of those feelings? Did you gauge that as a reaction of local people, or was it not a problem?
Well, not me personally. But I heard that some Chinese community, some people run Chinese takeaway. Not everyone. There are a few cases when they turn up for work and they saw the sign in the shop, go back to China. That is the problem faced to a few people in Bristol, but not to me personally.
No. But do you think it's got better as the months have gone on?
It definitely got better, yes.
Now, a final question. I noticed that you have met and you were a friend of Darth Vader, the actor Dave Prowse, who sadly passed away last week. How did you know Darth Vader? And tell us just a couple of memories of your meeting with him.
Darth Vader, he was a Bristolian. He was born in Bristol, and he went to the school, Bristol Grammar School, where my two children went. So we have that sort of connection. He lived in London permanently, but when he come back to Bristol, he come to my restaurant and say hello. That's how I met him.
Presumably, he didn't have his cape and his visor on when he came to eat there.
No, he didn't. But I brought them to the restaurant so I can get him to autograph for me. Yeah.
Raymond, it is so nice to talk to you again. Obviously, this is your last day in quarantine, so 14 days in a hotel in Hong Kong, but you have the joy of being with your daughter, your son-in-law, and your beloved grandchildren over Christmas. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you back in Bristol.
Okay, Keith. I might go to Leicester to visit you when I come back, because I have friends who live in Leicester. I've been to Leicester a few times.
Excellent. Raymond Wong from Hong Kong, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this part of the programme. Join me after the 11 o'clock news and I will be chatting to some real experts about the coronavirus vaccine and hoping to pose some of the questions you'll want to hear the answers to. More importantly, I want to hear what you think about the vaccine. Call me on 0203 515 1458 after 11:30 a.m. to have your say. That's 0203 515 1458. My closing song for this first hour is one you'll recognise from the current Lynx advert with the boxing superstar Anthony Joshua and a rather excited squirrel whose name, I'm afraid, we don't know. Here we go. It's the 1993 hit Boom Shakalak by Apache Indian. Join me after the news.
Shakalaka what the people them want. Woman them a flex and the man them a chant. Cause the 60s style it have to come back. Draw for your bell bottom black heel and frock. Boom shakalaka rude boy. You tell them no sir. Wine your body, wiggle your belly. Dip and go down in a the new style. Wine and go up, wine and go down. Bubble and a rocker to the new style around. Are you feel like it too? Are you feel whiny too? I do the boom shakalaka to the dance I'll pull up. I say the boom shakalaka it at the brand new style.
On 1458 in London.
On your mobile.
And on DAB Digital Radio.
This is Leica Radio.
Sky News Centre at 11. Gordon Brown's warning Boris Johnson could become the most isolated Prime Minister in peacetime history in the event of a no-deal Brexit.
If there is no deal now, I see huge international implications from what he fails to deliver, because we would be in an economic war with Europe that would cost us very dearly, but we'd also be in an economic war with America because there'd be no chance of a trade treaty with America.
British and EU negotiators are continuing crunch talks in Brussels today in an attempt to reach a trade agreement. The transition period ends at the end of this month. Hospitals will start giving people the coronavirus jab this week in what's been described as the largest scale vaccination campaign in British history. Saffron Caudry is from NHS providers.
Many of the 50 hospital hubs up and down the country have already received their allocation. More is expected today. So we know that consignment is here, and we are expecting up to 4 million doses to be with us by the end of December.
Meanwhile, it's claimed 57% of the British public does not trust the government's handling of the pandemic. A survey's also found 68% thinks it's been confused and inconsistent. Millwall say they're dismayed and saddened after some fans booed players taking the knee before yesterday's championship game against Derby. Jeering was heard around the stadium as the two teams performed the gesture, which is a symbol of the fight against racial injustice. England and South Africa's one-day international cricket match has been abandoned due to coronavirus. 2 members of staff at the hotel where players are staying have tested positive. And the family of Roald Dahl has apologised for anti-Semitic comments made by the late author before his death in 1990, aged 74. In a statement, they said prejudiced remarks he made were incomprehensible to them. That's the latest. I'm Tanya Snuggs.
If you're wondering what you can do with your pension pot, this could be how you're feeling. That uncertainty, but you could be hearing this. Let's call it the sound of clarity, which you can get from PensionWise, a government service providing free, impartial guidance. In just an hour, you'll get clarity on all your options so everything feels less and a little more. If you're over 50, visit pensionwise.gov.uk or call 0800 144 8944 and discover the power of an hour.
Leica Radio.
All about the music.
You're listening to
Leica Radio. All about the music.
All about the music.
Welcome back to Talking Points
Leica Radio.
with me, Keith Vaz. Welcome back. This week, the vaccine has been very much at the forefront of the national consciousness. A YouGov poll shows that the public mood in Britain is not yet convinced about the vaccine. So although 43% of the public said that they were fairly confident that the vaccine solves the problem of coronavirus, a surprising 20% said that they were either not very confident or not confident at all. That's 1 in 5 of the population. Let's hear from the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, speaking at his Downing Street press conference earlier this week.
It will inevitably take some months before all the most vulnerable are protected, long, cold months. So it's all the more vital that as we celebrate this scientific achievement, we're not carried away with over-optimism or fall into the naive belief that the struggle is over. It's not. We've got to stick to our winter plan.
Was the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, speaking earlier this week about the vaccination process. In the next hour, we will be speaking to a couple of doctors and a couple of pharmacists about the latest development. They will be at the forefront of the delivery of the vaccine. I have to say, I was just talking to Sonia before she scooted off back to home. We were talking about this little tree that I brought in. It's still not been decorated after a week, so if you've got any baubles that you'd like us to put on the Leica tree, please send them in. I want to hear your views on the vaccine. Give me a ring after 11:30 on 0203 515 1458. That's 0203 515 1458, and have your say on the vaccine. But first, let's listen to some music.
Naughty
Back-to-back hit songs are brought to you by Travel Hub. For the best service with unbeatable price, call Travel Hub on 0208 782 8833.
हमसे सस्ता कहीं नहीं मिल सकता.
Travel Hub.
At all protected.
हंसाएंगे रुलाएंगे मार ही डालेंगे तेरे नैना बड़े कातिल मार ही डालेंगे तेरे नैना बड़े कातिल मार ही डालेंगे नैना कातिलाना नैना रे लगते हैं कातिलाना अदाओं से एक दिन इस दिल को हंसाएंगे रुलाएंगे मार ही डालेंगे
तेरे नैना बड़े कातिल मार ही डालेंगे
तेरे नैना नैना तेरे नैना नैना कातिलाना बड़े नैना नैना तेरे नैना नैना तेरे नैना नैना कातिलाना बड़े नैना नैना तेरे नैना नैना तेरे नैना नैना कातिलाना बड़े नैना नैना तेरे नैना नैना तेरे नैना नैना कातिलाना बड़े नैना नैना.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. We are hearing from some of our experts and are beginning our journey on the Melton Road in Leicester at Safi's Chemists with the lead pharmacist Asif Karim. Safi's has been there for 40 years and has 3,000 registered patients and dispenses 13,000 prescription items each month. Asif is a graduate from De Montfort University in Leicester. Good morning, Asif Karim.
Hello, Keith.
Now, Asif, how is the distribution of the vaccine going to work? Has your pharmacy received any information about whether pharmacies will be involved in the distribution of the vaccine? Some places, of course, are going to start next Tuesday. Is that the case for pharmacies in a place like Leicester?
Right, so at the minute, in Leicester, we've not actually been told anything regards to the vaccine distribution in Leicester. However, we do have another branch up in Chester. Now, they have received from NHS England an email which suggests that they could apply to keep the vaccines and administer the vaccines from there. And I think what the NHS is looking at is whether these places that are applying have got the storage capacity, have got the facilities to successfully administer these vaccines. Now, I know something similar will be following in Leicester, but just as of yet, nothing has been forwarded to us yet.
Because we're going to be hearing a little later from Birmingham, where they're actually going to start on Tuesday.
Correct,
so at the moment, what you're telling us is that different pharmacies in different parts of the country are being told different things. Is that right?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I think it might be to do with which areas are, more vulnerable or more at risk, and them areas are to be pushed out sooner than other areas. Now, I shouldn't imagine Leicester should be too far behind. So we are expecting, we're getting ourselves very prepared for the eventuality that we will be administered. And I think pharmacies will have a very important role to play in the administration of vaccines, particularly in places like Leicester, where a lot of patients are very familiar with the pharmacies and they're very comfortable coming into the pharmacies.
Now, just tell us, if you would, in terms of the practicalities of somebody turning up at your pharmacy. Say you've got your instructions and you've been told to start delivering the vaccine. We know that you're already a travel hub, so you give injections for people when they go abroad. How physically will they be able to do this? Because, of course, you've now got social distancing. When you're giving a polio vaccination or something of that kind, you didn't need that social distancing. How is it practically going to work in a pharmacy?
Well, we've obviously, as well as the travel vaccines, we've been doing the flu jabs as well. And these are considerations that we've had to think about to continue an effective and safe service for medicine delivery and medicine for the patient at the same time as managing the travel clinic and the flu jab. So a couple of things that we've done in Safi's is that we've invested in a 24-hour collection point, which means a lot of patients don't physically have to come into the store to collect the medicines anymore. As well as that, every patient over 60 is getting a delivery. So what we've done is restricted the amount of people that actually come into the pharmacy, which has freed counter staff up, which has freed myself, the pharmacist, up, to allow us to effectively administer vaccines and keep that distance in the store, because as you can imagine, some of the stores on Melton Road are not very big, and it becomes quite a practical issue. So we've set the layout of the pharmacy so that people can social distance. There's markers everywhere, and we've got screens where necessary. We jab from behind the screen, behind wearing obviously the required PPE.
But some of the pharmacies would be different, wouldn't they? So as well as filling in your form and saying you can deliver the vaccine, are you all actually sending photographs in to the Department of Health to explain your layout? What kind of detail are you going into? Because you can cope, even though the pavement, as I remember, outside Safi's is quite big compared to other parts of the Belgrave Road. You've got quite a wide pavement, but some other pharmacies may not have that kind of facility outside, because you can't fit them all in, can you?
Well, this is it. I mean, the expectation for the vaccines, as I understand them, is to deliver 1,000 vaccines a week, which by any stretch of the imagination is quite a difficult task for any pharmacy, even with the facilities. So I should imagine that the NHS will be assessing each pharmacy individually, and I don't think it will be something that's laid out across all pharmacies in the area. So maybe one or two pharmacies in each area will be granted this facility of being able to give the vaccines.
So, quick final answer. How many do you think you can do a week? If you're up and running and everything is in place and your signs are up and all that kind of stuff, how many do you think you can do?
Well, it's a tough question, Keith. It's a tough question because unless we start doing the vaccines, we really don't know. But at the minute, as far as flu jabs are concerned, I figure I do about 30 to 40 a day in terms of flu jabs. So, 1,000 a week seems far stretched, but it might be that a few pharmacies pool together and help each other, manage certain aspects of pharmacies while the pharmacists put the hours in to get the jabs done.
Yeah. Asif Karim, thank you so much for joining us this morning from Leicester. You've got a big challenge ahead, and the best of luck from all of us at Leica Radio.
Thank you very much, Keith. Much appreciated.
Thanks.
Cheers now.
Bye.
Leica Radio.
On air 14:58 AM on your mobile and DAB digital radio.
You're listening to Leica Radio.
Punjab National Bank International Limited launches mobile app for personal customers. Whether you want to send money to India or view your latest balance, do that on the go. Simply download our app for free from your mobile app store. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, please visit
www.pnbint.com. Deposit protection from FSCS. Authorized by the PRA and regulated by FCA and PRA.
You get up to 60% off with Leica Mobile. No contract and up to 60% off on our best plans lasting for up to 6 months. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to order your SIM. Hurry up! Limited time offer. Leica Mobile. We love data.
As winter approaches, here's a critical reminder of coronavirus symptoms from Dr. Gupta.
The main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature or a new continuous cough or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste. If you have any of these, to protect yourself and others, it is critical you isolate at home, even if you don't feel too bad. And you must book a test immediately. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Attention to all meat lovers of Crawley in Sussex. Famous Tariq Halal is now open at 33 Queensway in Crawley. Big opening offers in the new Crawley store. Tariq Halal, there is only one.
Extended Black Friday sale is now on at Cave Furniture. 70% off, saving you pounds on living, dining, beds and bedroom furniture. Immediate delivery, 0% interest-free credit. TNC apply. cavefurniture.co.uk, Cricklewood, Kenton and Hitchend.
COVID-19 remains highly contagious, and even people without symptoms can spread it. So we need to keep using hand sanitizer in shops, keep wearing our face coverings on the bus, keep making space at the school gates. And now we're indoors more, we should let fresh air in to help blow COVID-19 particles away. Let's keep doing all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space, and let fresh air in.
During the pandemic, people started listening to radio for more information and entertainment. Radio is a comfort medium that people listen to everywhere, through radio, online, mobile app and smart home devices like Alexa. If you are running a business and want to reach out to the masses throughout the day, then radio is the best cost-effective reminder. Call Leica Media Experienced Sales Team today to discuss your advertising needs on 0207 132 1458. That's 0207 132 1458.
1458 AM on your mobile and DAB digital radio.
All about the music.
This is Leica Radio.
Now let's talk to Professor Wasim Hanif, who is a professor at the University Hospital in Birmingham. He's one of the founders and a member of the Board of Trustees of the South Asian Health Foundation, and he joins me this morning from Birmingham. Good morning, Professor Wasim Hanif.
Good morning, Keith. Thank you very much for having me on your program.
Now, I want to explore with you, and for you to debunk once and for all, the view that is becoming circulated amongst some sections of the Asian community. There is a problem with this vaccine and that people should not be taking it for whatever reason. Are you familiar with these conspiracy theories, and what's your answer to them?
Unfortunately, yes, I am familiar with these conspiracy theories, and it is affecting my patients as well, who are at a very high risk of developing COVID, and unfortunately, a lot of them have actually passed away with COVID. So if you give me a couple of minutes, let me just explain to you in very clear terms what a vaccine is and what the current coronavirus vaccines, which we have, one of them has been licensed and two are going through the MHRA to be licensed shortly. So basically what a vaccine does is it actually makes our immune system, which is our natural body's defense against infections, to become recharged to fight the infection.
So you are telling our listeners, as an expert in this field, they have to take the vaccine, that the conspiracy theories have to be rejected and they must take the vaccine. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. They should take the vaccine. You may have the anxieties. You want to ask questions. There's nothing wrong with it. But refusing to take the vaccine because they think this is a kind of conspiracy is completely wrong.
So if you do not take the vaccine, even though it's had a truncated assessment process, you said they normally take 10 years and this has been done in 9 months. If you do not take the vaccine, you're saying you will get COVID, and if you've got certain conditions, you will die.
Yes. And one of the things I recently told one of my patients is, if you see the COVID patients who are in ITU, you will realize how serious this condition is.
Birmingham University Hospital has been chosen as one of the centres that is going to deliver the vaccine. When are you going to start that in Birmingham? And what are the provisions that you have undertaken to make sure it can be delivered? And finally, how many people do you think you can vaccinate every single week?
So University Hospital Birmingham has been chosen on the sites. So I think the preparations have been done. A part of the hospital, which is the Institute of Translational Medicine, has been converted into a vaccine delivery site. We are hoping to start the vaccinations from as early as Tuesday. Now, in terms of the numbers, I think we will have to see, and I can't really get into the exact numbers, but sufficient numbers will be given there.
Professor Wasim Hanif, thank you so much for joining us from Birmingham this morning. Thank you personally for all the amazing work that you do, not just with the South Asian Health Foundation, but as a doctor, as a professor, and carry on with your good work.
Thank you very much, and much appreciated for asking me to join. Thank you.
Leica Radio.
Let's talk to a GP from St John's Wood who will be on the front line of delivering the vaccine. Dr. Bharat Sangani has been a GP for 15 years and owns his own practice in St John's Wood. He has around about 4,000 patients at his practice. He's been on the front line during the pandemic and has continued to provide excellent care for his patients. Good morning, Dr. Bharat Sangani, who joins me from St John's Wood.
Morning, Mr. Waz.
Now, Dr. Sangani, you have been at the front line in terms of the COVID pandemic. And like everyone else, you've heard the news that a vaccine has been approved. Will you be advising your patients to take this vaccine? And when will you be ready to start administering it?
I think it's excellent news that we have this successful vaccine. It's been tested on 45,000 people and shown 95% effect across all the age groups. So it's excellent news for humanity in general. And I think that's a way out of this pandemic. Otherwise, we don't know where we are heading. So it's excellent news. And I have a full confidence in MHRA. And they're going through the data thoroughly, over 1,000 pages of data. So me as a medical person, I will have no doubt in my mind that I will take myself, I will recommend to every patient of mine who qualifies who are over 18. Now, we have gone through the various meetings over the last few weeks, and we have a big walk-in center set up in every area of London, as well as I'm sure across the country. Now, it's going to start from the hospitals, and the GPs will have an absolute key role because we will be able to provide the list of patients, record appropriately through the system so that they are being followed up for the second dose.
Tell me exactly how the system is going to work. Obviously, there's going to be vaccination centres in major cities in Britain, and there'll obviously be one in London. But as far as a GP's practice is concerned, that's your practice, will you be writing to your patients, asking them to come in and have a vaccination, or will it be done centrally? And how quickly do you think you can get through your 4,000 patients?
Truly, at this stage, we are not in that position to say whether the patients will get the notification from the GPs or the local CCG level or the city level. So that information is not out there yet. But my understanding is that there are local centers at the PCN level, which is a group of 8 to 10 practices. And the information in the end will go through the individual GP surgery. So I believe patients will hear in the end from the GPs directly by text.
So isn't that the problem at the moment? There's a great euphoria around the vaccine, but if someone like you, distinguished local GP, does not have the information as to how it's going to work, it doesn't really instill the patient with much confidence. Surely the best thing to do, I mean, I'm not an NHS manager, but isn't the best thing to do is do it all through the GPs? Because you know your patients, you have their records, you have the phone number, you have the email address, you have the addresses. Isn't it best to do it actually through yourselves and the pharmacies, because they're local, rather than to do this centrally?
I agree, but it may end up being primarily done via GPs, but at the same time, there is a role for a big walk-in centers in terms of safety-wise, as well as keeping the safe distance and mass vaccination program. For example, they have opened a big center in Ilford Hall, where the big design, and they can vaccinate 300, 400 people in a day in a safe distance way, the way we were doing swab testing at multiple centers. So there is a role for those. Going forward in January, February, when it's widely available, more and more responsibility will be given to the PCN networks to vaccinate their own population, because patient list size of 4,000 in the first stage or the second stage, they'll have hardly maybe 100 or 150 patients only. So there is still a role for central vaccination centers.
The vaccination is out now. There are a number of other companies that are ready to have their vaccination approved. The first one, of course, is Pfizer. Will you, as the local GP, be able to do what you do with other prescriptions, which is to give patients the shots that you think are best? Or do you think that this will be just what central government does because they've already bought the doses?
The good news is the government has bought the Pfizer one, which seems to be highly effective and safe as well. going forward, if there are new vaccine candidates in the market, for example, AstraZeneca one, and is showing good results, and if it's available via general practice, I'll be offering the both vaccines to my patients, giving them all the information I have, the advantages and disadvantages, and I will give that choice to my patients. Absolutely. I wouldn't be bound by what the government has chosen, obviously subject to the access to the vaccine.
Finally, how have you coped? We talk about everyone else coping and how have the patients coped, but how have you coped as a general practitioner during one of the most incredible times in your 15-year career? I don't think that you would ever have envisaged when you signed up to medicine that you'd have to deal with a global pandemic. How have you managed to get through the last 9 months?
I think as a GP, the first few months were a bit hard. But now we have started seeing patients face-to-face since June onwards. And we are using the technology with video consultations, as well as where there's a need, we are calling the patient. One thing I would say is I think we do miss seeing patients face-to-face. It will make life much easier. Sometimes it's not easy to do on the telephone consultation only. So I think the stress level has been high, but the positivity, the motivation has managed us to go through this. And we are hoping that by early next year, we'll be back to the normal life.
Bharat Sangani from St John's Wood, thank you for all that you do for your patients and for being part of the NHS and being one of our local heroes. Carry on with your good work and good luck with the vaccination process, which is obviously going to be yet another challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Vaz. Thank you for inviting me.
Leica Radio.
NHS cares about you and your mental health during the pandemic. NHS Talking Therapies is one such thing that can help all of us. For our Hindi listeners, we talk to Dr. Simi Sachdeva Mohan, who is a consultant psychiatrist and a fellow of the Royal College of Psychiatrists.
आजकल कोविड-19 पेंडेमिक के दौर में व्यक्ति दबाव, तनाव, उत्तेजना, कई तरह की फीलिंग्स के एहसास का सामना करता है. ऐसे में NHS टॉकिंग थेरेपीज आपकी मदद कर सकते हैं. नमस्कार सिमी जी, बताइए क्या है ये NHS टॉकिंग थेरेपीज?
टॉकिंग थेरेपी जो है वो ट्रेन्ड थेरेपिस्ट होते हैं. काफी सारी अलग अलग थेरेपीज के नॉलेज होती है.
पैंडेमिक में NHS टॉकिंग थेरेपीज क्यों इतनी अहम है, क्यों महत्वपूर्ण है?
टॉकिंग थेरेपीज जो है चिंता या उदासीनता या अवसाद, जिसे डिप्रेशन में अवसाद कहते हैं हिंदी में, उनके लिए ये ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है.
NHS टॉकिंग थेरेपीज के साथ कैसे जुड़ा जा सकता है?
एक्सेस करने के काफी तरीके हैं. वो खुद अपने आप को रिफर कर सकते हैं nhs.uk/talk.
Tune in to Ruby Raza show between 12 noon and 1 p.m. on Leica Radio 1458 and Let's Talk show between 1 to 2 p.m. on Dilsa Radio on Monday to understand NHS talking therapies in Hindi.
Leica Radio.
Happy Weekend by MeraBoiler.com. Their special offer: Valiant Boiler with 10 years part and labor guarantee with 0% finance available. MeraBoiler.com.
This is Leica Radio.
Leica Radio.
Leica Radio. Travel update.
I'm Michael Page. There's some good news to start in East London at Forest Gate. Romford Road has reopened westbound following an earlier accident. There are delays on the A12 East Cross route heading out of town, so northbound at Hackney Wick because of an earlier accident. It's very busy heading into town on the highway coming from the Limehouse link this morning, and the South Circular is getting busy both ways between the Red Rover and Chalkers Corner because of people avoiding the Hammersmith Bridge closure. In Wadden, the A23 Purley Way is part blocked on the southbound side of the Five Ways Junction because of an emergency services incident. The Woolwich Ferry still isn't running because of a staff shortage. Great Northern have delays of up to 10 minutes and cancellations because of signalling problems between Alexandra Palace and Finsbury Park. And South Eastern are still reporting delays of up to 10 minutes for services via Slade Green because of earlier signalling problems. Engineering work on the tubes means there's no Northern Line trains running between Charing Cross and Kennington. Overground services aren't running between Surrey Quays and Clapham Junction. Replacement buses are running instead. And until midday, Southern services aren't running between Shepherd's Bush and Watford Junction. And that's the latest traffic and travel.
Leica Radio.
Oh, Sergey, it's Oleg's bedtime. What are you doing? Have you seen his sleepy Oleg toy anywhere? No. What's that behind your back? This one's mine, Sergey. If you've lost Oleg's, you have to get another one. It's got Oleg's name on it. Okay, here. You can get me a new one then, Sergey. You're so selfish. It's your very last chance to get your limited edition Sleepy Oleg toy. Only with a qualifying purchase through Compare the Market. Only available before the 14th of December 2020. All claims must be made within 10 days of purchase. T's and C's apply.
Hit of the hour, sponsored by Pullman Interiors. Buy a kitchen and get a boiling water tap worth £1,200 absolutely free. Call Pullman on 0208 243 8880.
Jasmine Sandless. Intense music. West Coast in the house, baby. मेरे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां चों सिप सिप पीवे मेरे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां चों सिप सिप पीवे चढ़दी जवानी मेरी अख मुंडिया चढ़दी जवानी मेरी अख मुंडिया अज पैणा अंगियारियां दा मीवे मेरे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां चों सिप सिप पीवे मेरे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां चों सिप सिप पीवे गैली विच रहनियां बलौंगियां दुआबे तो पंजाब आके खाईदा देसी जे ढाबे तो गैली विच रहनियां बलौंगियां दुआबे तो पंजाब आके खाईदा देसी जे ढाबे तो तिखा खा के करीदा नी सीवे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे चढ़दी जवानी मेरी अख मुंडिया चढ़दी जवानी मेरी अख मुंडिया अज पैणा अंगियारियां दा मीवे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे चढ़दी जवानी मेरी लावे तो भी हॉट वे कल्ला कल्ला नखरा तकीला दा शॉट वे चढ़दी जवानी मेरी लावे तो भी हॉट वे कल्ला कल्ला नखरा तकीला दा शॉट वे और दस तेनू चाहिदा है की वे मेरे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे मेरे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे दिल दियां साफ मैं नगीना कोहे नूर दा पूरा सिक्का चलदा ए संधू तेरी हूर दा दिल दियां साफ मैं नगीना कोहे नूर दा पूरा सिक्का चलदा ए संधू तेरी हूर दा हुण करदे ने सब जी जीवे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे चढ़दी जवानी मेरी अख मुंडिया चढ़दी जवानी मेरी अख मुंडिया अज पैणा अंगियारियां दा मीवे नैन ने शराब दियां दो बोतलां इन्हां बोतलां च सिप सिप पीवे
Hit of the hour, sponsored by Pullman Interiors. Buy a kitchen and get a boiling water tap worth £1,200 absolutely free. Call Pullman on 0208 243 8880.
Pharmacists will be playing a critical role in the delivery of the vaccine. Let's talk to Varsha Mistry, who is a pharmacist and has been for the last 5 years. She graduated from Aston University in the great city of Birmingham, and she's now based in Welwyn Garden City in Hertfordshire. Her pharmacy practice has 10,000 registered patients and gives out 6,000 prescription items every week. She joins me, as I say, from Welwyn Garden City. Good morning, Varsha Mistry.
Good morning, Keith.
Now, Varsha, are you and your fellow pharmacists really excited at the news that we have finally got a vaccine that's going to put a stop to COVID-19?
Yeah, I believe it's
just an amazing achievement, to be honest, that they've managed to produce the vaccine in less than a year. The fact that it's gone through all the necessary clinical trials and then being approved by the MHRA is just amazing, really.
Now, I don't know whether you know that a poll conducted as recently as the 2nd of December suggested that although 43% of the population were fairly confident about the vaccine, 20%, that's 1 in 5. So in terms of your patients, it would be 2,000 of your patients said they were either not very confident or not confident at all with this vaccine. Are you quite happy to tell people they must have the vaccine?
I feel it's amazing how fast we've got the vaccine, but I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people aren't very confident with it. But I think it's the fact that we're in a global pandemic, it's a public health emergency. So the vaccine, the trial, not had a lack of trial volunteers, it's not had a lack of funding, it's had access to the best trial infrastructure. So those are the kind of factors that have sped the trial up and so have contributed for approved as quick as it has.
From the point of view of your patients, and you have your favourites, of course, who come in regularly, like my mum used to do when she was alive. She went to her pharmacist, Ketton in Evington and Leicester, and they had a long chat. People are going to come in and they're going to ask you for your opinion, obviously. But they're also going to say, can I have my vaccine? Now, what has the government told you, the pharmacist, about when you can start giving people their jabs?
So at the moment, the focus is care homes and carers. They're the people with the highest priority at the moment. And then next in line are people over 80, and then the frontline healthcare workers, and then people over 75. And then it just goes increasingly younger age groups and people with underlying health conditions.
I understand that, but in terms of you yourself and your colleagues in the pharmacy, what instructions or guidance has been given by the government as to when you can start in Welwyn Garden City giving out your doses?
We haven't had any guidance yet. We're still waiting to hear.
But when you do get that go-ahead, you will be having to deliver the vaccine at your pharmacy. How are you going to be able to cope with 10,000 people all wanting to have their jab in your pharmacy? Obviously, I've never been to your pharmacy. I don't know what the setup is, but I assume that you have the usual thing that pharmacists have. People might come in for suntan lotion. They might come for other items. Are you going to have separate queues? Have you thought about how you're going to deliver this? And of course, you're on the front line, so you might be giving the vaccine to someone who may have had COVID. Have you had a thought as to how this is practically going to be delivered?
Yeah, so we have done things like the flu jab. We do that every year. So this vaccination, I guess, will run in a similar sense like the flu jab. But the only difference is, I guess, this one will be a 2-shot vaccination, so they need to come back twice. So the demand is going to be potentially as high as the flu jab, although this year the flu jab, it was in very high demand. So it would have to be treated in a similar kind of sense, really. People would come in, have their first flu jab, and then be booked in 3 weeks later for the next one.
So this must actually be taking up a lot of your time. Is the planning taking up time, or do you think it's going to be quite easy to logistically work out? Because, you know, for the people who go to a pharmacist, what's really going to matter is going in there, getting the jab, leaving. But there's other activities going on in the pharmacy, isn't there?
So obviously it would have to be done on an appointment basis, and we already do appointments anyway. So it would be booked into online appointment. People will have their certain time. They come in for their appointment, have their vaccination, and then leave. They're booked in for the next one. So they have a time and they have a date. In terms of the logistics of that, I don't think that's difficult. It's just ensuring people get the vaccination. I think that's the bit that's going to be the trickier bit.
I mean, I think everyone realises that pharmacists play a huge role in our National Health Service and are never given the credit for what they do, because you're very much local heroes. You're part of the NHS. Though it's your private companies, obviously, you deliver so many services and you're highly valued by patients, especially the elderly, who will come in and basically ask for your advice. This is only a guess, I know, and I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not going to ring you up in January and say, have you done this? But bearing in mind you've got about 10,000 patients on your list, how long do you think it would take to deliver the vaccine to all the patients, all the 10,000 patients who are registered to you? I won't hold you to that answer, but have you got a kind of thought as to how long that would take?
I do feel like that would take a few months at the very least, to be honest. Just because of the time length between each dose, you're not fully immune after the first dose of the vaccination. And so we are having to give the vaccination twice, to see people twice the time it would take for a normal vaccination. To ensure everyone's vaccinated, it's not going to be something that's going to happen very quickly. It will take a few months. It's not a quick fix.
Varsha Mistry from Welwyn Garden City, thank you very much for joining us this morning on Leica Radio 1458. And please pass on my thanks to your colleagues in your pharmacy and indeed pharmacists all over Britain for the amazing work they've done over the last 9 months and the new demands that they now face to get the vaccine out. Thank you, Varsha.
Thank you very much, Keith, for having me.
Welcome back. I feel quite exhausted, having travelled from Leicester to Birmingham to St John's Wood, then to Hertfordshire and finally back to Canary Wharf. I noticed on my way in today the number of cars with banners in support of the farmers of India. This is obviously a big issue concerning the new farming bill that has been introduced by the government there. I think it probably deserves more attention. We'll return to the subject next week. Popular radio broadcaster and events host Rishi Modi has contracted coronavirus and is currently in intensive care in a hospital in Nairobi in Kenya. A Just Giving page has been established by his friend Mira Majitia with the aim of raising money for the cost of his care. So far, in just a few days, 31% of the target has been reached. If you'd like to donate to the health and welfare section of Just Giving, the details will be put on our Instagram page, and our thoughts, of course, with everyone else who is suffering from coronavirus. Who knew at the beginning of the year that the biggest accessory would be the face mask? The origins of the face masks can be traced back to 1897, 123 years ago, when the surgeon Paul Berger covered his mouth with a handkerchief during surgery. The face masks looks to be sticking around on our faces for a long time to come. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458.
Leica Radio.
All about the music.
All about the music.
This is Leica Radio.
You get up to 60% off with Leica Mobile. No contract and up to 60% off on our best plans lasting for up to 6 months. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to order your SIM. Hurry up! Limited time offer. Leica Mobile. We love data.
Visit travelhub.ltd.co.uk and get unbeatable deal on any hotel anywhere in the world. Yes, any hotel anywhere in the world.
Lockdown में भी अपनों से मिलाए. Fly India with Air India. Call Travel Hub 24/7 on 0208 782 8833 or visit travelhubltd.co.uk for online registration and formalities. Travel Hub will take care of everything.
Travel Hub, best service with unbeatable price.
At all protected.
Decency supply.
COVID-19 remains highly contagious, and even people without symptoms can spread it. So we need to keep washing our hands when we get home. Keep wearing our face coverings on the train. Keep making space at the shops. And now we're indoors more, we should let fresh air in to help blow COVID-19 particles away. Let's keep doing all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space. And let fresh air in.
Attention to all meat lovers of Crawley in Sussex. Famous Tariq Halal is now open at 33 Queensway in Crawley. Big opening offers in the new Crawley store. Tariq Halal, there is only one.
London is now in Tier 2 and on high alert. To help stop the spread of coronavirus, households must not mix indoors. Only meet people outdoors in groups of up to 6. You must work from home if possible, and reduce the number of journeys you make. For further details, go to gov.uk/coronavirus. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Extended Black Friday sale is now on at K Furniture. 70% off, saving you pounds on living, dining, beds and bedroom furniture. Immediate delivery, 0% interest-free credit. TNC apply. kfurniture.co.uk, Cricklewood, Kenton and Hitchend.
During the pandemic, people started listening to radio for more information and entertainment. Radio is a comfort medium that people listen to everywhere, through radio, online, mobile app and smart home devices like Alexa. If you are running a business and want to reach out to the masses throughout the day, then radio is the best cost-effective reminder. Call Leica Media Experienced Sales Team today to discuss your advertising needs on 0207 132 1458. That's 0207 132 1458.
Kick it! All about the music.
Leica Radio. All about the music.
This is Leica Radio.
That's all from Talking Points this week. This has been Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. Stay tuned for non-stop music which follows the news. Thank you to all my guests, Baroness Paula Yudin, Raymond Wong, Professor Wasim, Dr. Bharat Sangati, Varsha Mistry, Asif Karim, and of course Sejal Thanki for her songs. As December began this week, Talking Points is beginning to get into the Christmas spirit. So my fact of the week is that 781 million mince pies are eaten every Christmas in the United Kingdom. If mince pies were currency, it would be the equivalent of the net worth of Jay-Z. I'll definitely be having one after the programme. Thanks to my producers Rupi and Eve and my editor Adam. Thanks for tuning in. I know on a Sunday morning you have a choice. Thank you for spending a bit of your Sunday morning with me. My closing song this week is my first Christmas song of the season. It's a tune I'm sure you all know. It sold over 16 million copies and remains the best-selling Christmas single of all time. Sung by the amazing Mariah Carey. Leica Radio listeners, all I want for Christmas is you.
Leica Radio.
On air, 14:58 AM.
Online.
And DAB Digital Radio.
You're listening to Leica Radio.
All about the music. All about the music.
Mom, have you bought some of those delicious noodles? You mean Coca, the king of noodles? Coca means delicious. Variety of flavors available in Coca Packet, Coca Cup and Coca Bowl noodles. Suitable for vegetarians and halal approved. The king of noodles, Coca noodles, packets, cups and bowls, now available everywhere in the UK.
Whether it's getting back into work, thinking about a different job, or helping you improve your CV, we can help you make a new start. Visit gov.uk/jobhelp. A good place to start.
You get up to 60% off with Leica Mobile. No contract and up to 60% off on our best plans lasting for up to 6 months. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to order your SIM. Hurry up! Limited time offer. Leica Mobile. We love data.
London is now in Tier 2 and on high alert. To help stop the spread of coronavirus, households must not mix indoors. Only meet people outdoors in groups of up to 6. You must work from home if possible, and reduce the number of journeys you make. For further details, go to gov.uk/coronavirus. Stay alert. Control the virus. Save lives.
Extended Black Friday sale is now on at K Furniture. 70% off, saving you pounds on living, dining, beds and bedroom furniture. Immediate delivery, 0% interest-free credit. TNC apply. kfurniture.co.uk, Cricklewood, Kenton and Hitchend.
Calling all businesses. If we deal with Europe, we've got new rules to follow starting on the 1st of January. Rules on imports, exports, tariffs, data and hiring. And if we're not ready by the 1st of January, we may be unable to trade from day one. So don't risk your business. Visit gov.uk/transition and use the Brexit checker tool now to get personalised actions for your business. Check, change, go.
All about the music.
All about the music.
This is Leica Radio.
Leica.
Leica Radio. All about the music.
Leica Radio.
Christmas, there is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true.
On 1458 in London.
On your mobile.
And on DAB Digital Radio.
This is Leica Radio.
Sky News Centre at midday. The UK's chief Brexit negotiator, Lord Frost, has arrived in Brussels for crunch talks with his EU counterpart in an attempt to reach a trade agreement. The transition period ends at the end of the month. Labour says they would need to see what has been agreed if a deal is struck. Shadow Home Secretary Nick Thomas-Simons says it's vital an agreement is made.
We absolutely need to get a deal. We all know what the consequences of no deal would be for the country, both in terms of jobs and livelihoods all across the United Kingdom, but also in terms of that security partnership that we need.
The Environment Secretary says there have been challenges surrounding the coronavirus vaccine, but a lot of work has gone into ensuring its rollout this week. COVID-19 jabs will arrive at UK hospitals before the first ones are given on Tuesday to those aged 80 and over, care home workers and some NHS staff. George Eustace has been asked about the number of vaccinations being delivered.
I don't have the precise number on doses, but we're certainly commencing in earnest this week. This particular vaccine does have those challenges in that it needs to be stored at minus 70 degrees, and once it's thawed down, there are limits on the number of moves that you can make with it.
Peter Alliss, described as the voice of golf, has died aged 89. He played in 8 Ryder Cups during his career and was a 31-time tournament winner. Millwall say they're dismayed and saddened after some fans booed players taking the knee before yesterday's championship game against Derby. The London club says it's committed to remain at the forefront of anti-discrimination efforts in football. And today's football's just getting underway, with West Brom hoping to move out of the Premier League relegation zone with a win against Crystal Palace. Ross County are hosting Rangers. That's the latest from the Sky News Centre. I'm Tanya Snuggs.
Things were going well for your small business. At Indeed, we want to see that happen again.